A transfer window it has been, people. Absolutely so much money has been spent, mostly by one league, and that's one thing I want to discuss in this video before we go to the tier list and ranking a lot of clubs in their windows. Who was the biggest winners, who was the biggest losers, and of course, with transfers, it's always difficult to determine, okay, this club did really well, but maybe on the field it won't work. Look at Madrid last season. They signed Mbappe. Everybody thought, oh, UCL winners again. They're going to win La Liga. It didn't work out. Maybe because of injuries. You can talk about Real Madrid from 2009, 2010 when they signed Ronaldo, Kaká, and these sort of players. They didn't win La Liga. They didn't win the Champions League the first season. It took them a while to win the Champions League. So with these transfers, it could look amazing on paper. You think, wow, this is a super team right here. And it all falls apart. But we're going to still rank the winners and the losers and talk about the best transfers, the worst transfers, and all sorts of stuff in today's video. So give your thoughts in the comments down below. What was the best transfer? Who was the biggest? Which club had the best summer transfer window? Which club had the worst summer transfer window? And which is the worst signing you have seen so far this window? Remember to hit the like button and subscribe to the channel if you're new around there. And also, we're going to have a lots of international football content in the coming week. And then in a couple of weeks, we're going to have a lot of Champions League content. So if you like that sort of stuff, consider subscribing to the channel. But first off, let's shout out to everybody in the chat. Big up to Rock Gaming, big up to Matt, and big up to Ibrahim as well, joining the stream. So first off, before I want to get into any other details, I just need to highlight this, people, right? This is the league spending from this summer. The Premier League have spent 3.5 billion. 3.5 billion euros this summer. The most ever by any league. I think the Premier League surpassed its own record from 2023 summer. I think it was like 3.2, 3.1. But wow, 3.5 billion. The only league that can really compare when it comes to the balance sheet is the Saudi Pro League, because the Serie A, it only made a loss of 84 million. Bundesliga made a profit. La Liga made a loss of 46 million. Tebas will probably be pissed off and charge more clubs the money. Ligue 1 made a huge profit. Saudi Pro League, obviously negative profit. Liga Portugal made a profit. So it just shows you the disparity we're seeing right now in European football, that the Premier League is by far the best. By far the best when it comes to just spending and spending and spending. And that's their own, that they created that problem. And that's the problem of the other leagues. What the Premier League have done so well, I think, in the last couple of years is, one, the marketing, two, the TV deals, and three, it's basically assured itself of a secure future compared to other leagues. Like Serie A, it cannot even get a TV deal for India. Are you kidding me? A huge market like that, and you cannot take an opportunity? La Liga, it's like, okay, you want to blame Tebas, fair enough, but look at Sevilla. That's their own doing. Girona, they don't want to spend money after they made so much money. So, yes, you can say, oh, Premier League, Super League, and yeah, I'm not the biggest fan of the Premier League, just basically based on the football I have seen and the amount of money they have spent. But also, the Premier League benefit itself, they created this. They had such great marketing, and they basically made their league more attractable to world audience compared to the other leagues. I mean, La Liga doesn't even have goal line technology. Come on now. The leagues are so desperate, Serie A and La Liga, to try and get a world audience that they want to have these one-off games in other countries. Do you think the Premier League are trying to do that? No. Yeah, maybe they will in the future because of the amount of American owners, but the Serie A and La Liga are just desperate to get some notoriety from an international audience. Kudos to the Bundesliga. You know why? Because they're actually trying to be innovative. Look, they go in a partnership with Mark Goldbridge. They're in a partnership with the Overlap to show their games on YouTube in England. You see Bundesliga thinking outside the box. Serie A and La Liga, they're stuck in the Stone Age. They're stuck in the Renaissance era. Yeah, you know what? You know you need to get out of that Renaissance era and come to the modern day. Why you can criticize modern day fads, modern day viewing of football, sports, music, TV shows, movies. It's still, you have to adapt after these leagues, and they haven't. And the Premier League, I mean, the TV deal is crazy. Absolutely crazy, and that's why they benefited so much, and that's why clubs like Sunderland, West Ham are able to spend a ridiculous amount of money. So let's see if this is just going to be the future more and more. Can the Serie A, La Liga, can they bounce back? I really just don't see it. I think it's going to take a long while until we see like Barcelona once again spend 200 million, 300 million in a window and get those superstar players around Europe. That's why Barcelona have had to do a lot of smart businesses this summer, which they have made some good transfers. But compared to what Barcelona were doing like in the early 2010s, late 2010s, spending money, trying to get the best players around Europe, trying to get the best players from South America, Barcelona are incapable of doing it. That's because of their own doing. And yeah, you could be critical of Tebas, but look at the financial state Barcelona are in. If they didn't have a strict rule to go by, maybe they would put themselves in even bigger mess. Hopefully now with the Camp Nou soon ready, they can finally generate some money. But yeah, it's tough for these leagues. I do feel for them, but also it's their own doing. Serie A, do better marketing, get better TV deals. La Liga, just be a better product off the field. Why don't you have a good show? Why don't you have... It frustrates me, but Premier League are taking advantage of it, and that's why they're getting the best talents from the Bundesliga. They're getting some of the best players in La Liga. That's why they're getting some of the best players from Serie A, and they will continue to grow. And eventually, the only way UEFA would ever step in and say, hey, Premier League, you're spending a little too much money like you're a sugar daddy, is when the Premier League consistently win the Champions League, Europa League, and Conference League. When those things occur, then you see UEFA be like, hey, you know what? Let's maybe introduce a salary cap or something like that. That's the only way you're going to really negate all this spending by the Premier League. But that might be a little while, and that might be a future video that I would do here on the channel. But the Premier League, this transfer window went absolutely absurd, and mostly for my club, Liverpool, which I will discuss about as well. Big up Shifan, big up to Doug. Hope you guys are doing well. Big up to Bismarck. He says, man, La Liga is practically just a 3-club league. I mean, yes, but you got to give credit to Villarreal. They spend money. I mean, some of the signings they've made are, let's just say, very questionable, but at least Villarreal have shown some ambition. But, you know, people want to look at Sevilla and saying, oh, look at Sevilla. They have to sell Loic Bade. They have to sell Luque Bacchio. Yeah, because they put themselves in a horrific financial state. That's not because of Tebas. That's their own doing. That's their own doing. So let's see. The Prem is basically the Super League with the amount of money they have. Oh, yeah, 100%. Goodbye, the UK economy. Yep, big up SSB. How are you doing? Go check out the video, bro. Go check out the video on the CONMEBOL video. Liga is catching up to La Liga. Well, that's mostly because of... well, I mean, look, also, Liga made a profit of 340 million. They're just a talent factor right now for a lot of European clubs. Big up to 10 times says, Serie A been competitive, no back-to-back winners in 2020s. That's why I love the league. There's no back-to-back winners. Although, could that change this year? Time will tell. And why do you think Saudi was relatively quiet compared to other years? Well, last year they spent almost $1 billion, if I'm not mistaken. You guys can correct me if I'm wrong, but they spent crazy money on Neymar, Mitrovic, Milinkovic-Savic. That one summer where they spent Benzema, N'Golo Kante, these sort of players. And since then, they've kind of gone a little bit quiet, but you saw they spent big money on Yon Duran in the January transfer window. So, Saudi, I think they're just trying to play it smart as of right now. I think Napoli or Juve wins Serie A, and yeah, he will be a very good son. I mean, we'll talk about Atleti in a moment. All right, so let's now get to individual clubs, and let's look at the tier list of how we're going to do the winners and losers of this transfer window. I wasn't able to add all of the teams, so if I'm missing a team, you guys can ask me at the end of the video of some teams I should be adding, and then we can discuss about those individual teams. I'm not going to be here for too long, people, today, maybe about an hour 10. So just get your thoughts in the chat. We'll keep it rolling, and most important is you hit the like button so we can get engaging with more people. So the tier lists are... Wait, where did I put them there? There we go. Winners, good, meh, losers. And yes, there is Lazio. You'll see why there is Lazio in a minute. So let us start off with Inter. Inter had a busy transfer window and one long saga with Ademola Lookman, which eventually he didn't join anybody as of right now. Could he be joining another club maybe soon? I think the Saudi and the Turkish Super League are still open, so maybe Ademola Lookman could get a move there, but that whole saga with Lookman and Inter was just so jarring. So jarring. You know, Fabrizio updating us every day. Oh, yeah, Inter are interested. Yeah, no shit. Yeah, no crap. We know the player is interested in joining, and we know Inter are interested in joining. Just tell us when there's an agreement. But they never got to an agreement. Obviously, Atalanta are very hard to negotiate. You saw with the Coop Miners, I think that was like the last 3 days where Juventus were able to sign the player. And it was basically the same thing with Ademola Lookman. And eventually, Ademola Lookman stayed for now, and let's see how long he will be at the club. But overall, Inter, They brought in Luis Enrique from Marseille, Boni from Parma, Andy Dio from Lens, Petar Sutic from Dinamo Zagreb. Salvetsky left to Atalanta. Manuel Akanji joined on a loan. I think that's an option to buy. So really some young signings. Obviously, they lost Salvetsky, Stankovic, Buchanan, Satriano, and Benjamin Pavard left, and Taremi left, and Aslani left. So overall, I think it's like I'm going to go with a meh window for Inter. I think they did well with some of the transfers, especially like Petar Susic and Boni. I think they really upgraded on the backups to Lautaro and Marcus Thuram, because last season it was Taremi and Arnautovic. And what did those players do off the bench? They didn't provide anything. And that's where it kind of hindered, I think, Inter in some games last season. Now they have a Boni. Now they have obviously oh my God, what am I? Luis Enrique. They have other players, Esposito, that can come off the bench and make a difference. I think Sucic is a really good business. But the one thing I still look at Inter is, man, they need a creative midfielder and they need center backs. They cannot go another season with Acerbi. Acerbi's had a wonderful career, right? You have to move on. Then you're going to get a Kanji, who's injury prone. Yes, he's a very good center back, and I think he can do well in the 3 center back formation, but you need somebody to replace Acerbi, and they haven't done that. They haven't done it. So I think that's a big problem for Inter, and we'll see where they go this season with Christian Kivu. I saw a lot of overreaction about the game on Sunday when they lost to Udinese at home. Look, it's going to be a bumpy ride, I think, for Inter this season. They should still be getting top 4. I still got them like 2nd or 3rd, but I was perplexed when they let go of Pavard. Yeah, Pavard is injury prone. Who are you taking right now if you're an Inter fan? Are you taking Akanji or Benjamin Pavard in 2025? I'm taking Benjamin Pavard. He's used to this system. Yes, there's a little bit of tweaks under Christian Kivu. You still got to keep Pavard. I guess Pavard was like, okay, let's go to the Zerbi circus show. I don't understand it whatsoever, but I think Inter, it's a meh transfer window, and let's see if that meh transfer window is going to bite them in the ass later on this season with the way things are going. Big up to Jeff Sedano for the kind donation. Really appreciate it. Says, Daddy's live. God loves us today.
I have to talk about facts because I think it's important.
Wait, why did I not play the other one? There we go.
That is blasphemous.
Damn, Jeff. You are one weird dude. But Jeff, hold that. Soboslai, free kick on Arsenal's head. Michael, off topic, but will the bros help Curaçao qualify? Hey, maybe. I love Bakuna, bro. I love the Bakuna brothers. So hopefully they can do it, man. I think it would be awesome to see Curaçao there. Inter is meh. Letting Pavard go is insane. Big up Seball says, I don't know how I feel about Isak's antics being rewarded, but for the sake of his career in Sweden, I'm happy. We'll talk about that when we get to the Liverpool section of the video, because I haven't really talked about it. I haven't even made an individual about it. So now we go to Lazio, and Lazio just goes into its own category because Lazio had a transfer ban. They were not able to make any transfers due to, I think, some Italian financial football agents or something like that they weren't able to make any transfers. So they were banned for this summer. They could only make transfers again in January 2026. And I mean, look at Sarri. I'm surprised that Sarri took the job knowing that they're under a transfer ban. It's crazy to me that Sarri would even take the job knowing the circumstances he's entering into. And Lazio, they're really gonna pay for those troubles, and they're not gonna get top 7 if they don't get any European football again. You could see like players like Tavares leave. You could see players like Tati Castellanos leave. Really bad for Lazio. After they really hurt them that they didn't get European football last year, and they bottled it. They were playing really good football with Baroni, and eventually they just collapsed, and that loss to Bodo Glimt in the Europa League, that was the nail in the coffin for their season. And now they got a transfer ban, and yeah, the future doesn't look good. I think they won over the weekend 4-0, if I'm not mistaken. So yeah, they played well, but I saw the first game against Como. Como absolutely destroyed them. It was obliteration from them. So yeah, Lazio are in their own category for that reason, because no other team has a transfer ban. I'm trying to think if there's anybody else. No, I think they're the only team. Then let's go to Porto. Now, I think Porto had a really good window, and I think one was Anselmi left. They brought in Farioli. I'm telling you people right now, Farioli magician. This guy is such a good manager, defensively solid. Yes, he comes from the De Zerbi school, but he's not a crackhead like De Zerbi. He actually has some defensive tactics and not beefing with all of his players. Farioli is the guy. I think that was the best hiring that Porto could do, because Porto have been a mess the last 2 seasons, and especially last season where there were just so many bad transfers. We saw what happened to the Club World Cup. Losing to Inter Miami was an all-time embarrassment for the team. But now the transfer window, they got Victor Froholt. I've seen 2 games from this guy so far with Porto. He's leaving Porto, maybe not next summer, the summer after that, for like 80 million. What a midfielder, bro. This Danish guy, I didn't see him much at FC Copenhagen, but wow, I'm being super impressed from him. They obviously signed Gabri Vega from Al Ahly, Alberto Costa from Juventus. I think they won that deal when it was the swap. Borja Sainz from Norwich, Perez, the center back from Udinese, Bednarek, and Jakub Kivior as well, Pablo Rosario. I think it was a great window, and they had the quiet free transfer of Luke de Jong, which surprised everybody, and I'm pretty sure that Fabrizio was fuming at that. I think Porto had a really good transfer window. I think they solved what they needed to do. They needed to solve the defense. They needed another box-to-box sort of midfielder, better fullbacks. I think they really leveled up there. I think Porto are big winners, and you can see right now this team are gelling so well with the way Farioli wants to play. There's a new sort of, what's the word I'm trying to look for? Just the reloading of the team. It's been so sour for the last couple of years, and now that Porto got some new transfers, they got some money. I think the worst thing possible would have been to sell Rodrigo Mora. I think that would have been ludicrous. I know he hasn't started a lot of games with Farioli. It just takes time. He's still a young player. Maybe him and Farioli were just kind of looking differently at how they wanted to set up with him. But you have to keep Rodrigo Mora at all costs, at least for another season if you're Porto. I think selling him to Saudi would have been, yeah, you're doing well financially, but for the player, yes, Saudi League is still competitive, but nothing compared to the League of Portugal, even though, I mean, Al Hilal made it to the quarterfinal of the Club World Cup, so how great is the Porto than Liga Portugal? But I think Porto really did much better, and now their objective should be winning the league and going far in the Europa League. I think they got a good team to do it. Samu, Rodrigo Mora, Borja Sainz. The Brazilian guy that they signed. Who was the Brazilian guy they signed? There was another dude that they signed. This Gabriel Veron, I think it was, who scored a screamer on against Sporting. I think it was Gabriel Veron. I can't remember who scored the winner. But that Brazilian player on the right wing, whew, that looks like a ball right there. So yeah, I think a really good window from Porto. They are one of my winners. Big up Matt says, who's a Porto fan. Aside from Kivior, Porto signings have shown viability away at the Champions Nest, aka Sporting. Villas-Boas also made money off bums like Borges and Se Pedro. Top window. William Gomez. That's it. Thank you, Matt. I was like, God damn, what was the Brazilian player name? Newcastle had the best transfer window. You could probably go with that. Well, yeah, Sevilla should be there as well. So yeah, Porto, one of the winners. Okay, let's go with Atleti. I don't know where to put Atleti. It's between one of these two. Okay, let's keep it at meh for now, but let's just go through the transfers before we, because they did a lot of business, Atleti, and they didn't really sell anybody. I think they made a huge loss this season. Yeah, 108 million. So they signed Alex Baena, David Hansko, Johnny Cardoso, Raspadori, Thiago Almada, Ruggeri, Mark Pubel. Obviously, Santiago Mourinho left, and Nico Gonzalez joined the team. Okay, then they let go of Samuelino, Arthur Vermeeren. Mourinho went to Villarreal, Riquelme went to Real Betis, Angel Correa went to Tigres, and obviously Reinildo left on a free transfer. Saul, Axavizzo, Cesar Spilicueta, Rodrigo de Paul left, Thomas Lamar left on loan. I think Atleti. Do I put them at losers? Do I put them at meh? Look, I think they solved a couple of things what they needed. They solved a bit more creativity on the team with a player like Alex Baena. I think Alex Baena is going to be one of the best transfers. Yeah, he's injured right now, but the dude is an absolute stud on that left side. I think he will do fantastically well. The one transfer, I'm like, okay, why'd you make that transfer? Was Raspadori, and still I'm going to say it, Thiago Almada. You didn't need to sign these players. If you had the money for Raspadori and Thiago Almada, why don't you sign a top-tier center back to pair with Hansko? Because Lenormand, I think just the injury has really affected his play because he hasn't been the same player to what he was at Real Sociedad. I think Atleti are big losers. You spend that much money. How much did Atleti spend this summer? They spent 176 million euros, people. 176 million euros. Obviously, some of them are loans that have obligations to buy, but they don't count for the financial year. You spent 176 million and you really upgraded with Alex Baena and Hanchko. That's it. That and you kept Griezmann. I mean, maybe we'll move it to Meh because maybe it's a little bit harsh because I do love Alex Baena. I think Atleti are saved by the Alex Baena signing. But let's see how this develops with Diego Simeone. I think the pressure is now on Diego Simeone to figure this out. You could talk about like Ruggeri, Raspadori, like where these signings needed to be made. You could argue that, yeah, they still need to be made. One, because the left back situation was terrible still with Galan and Reinildo, even though Reinildo's done so well at Sunderland as of right now. But you spend that much money and have they gotten really better? That's the biggest question mark, I think, for Atleti. Have they gotten significantly better with that amount of spending? I think the Raspadori one made no sense to me. I'm going to be honest. And then you're going to piss off Sorloth by not even getting him into the first game against Espanyol. Diego Simeone has to figure it out. If he doesn't, I think they're in big trouble. I really do. Big Up Bidon says, there are a few good signings in there. Still should have gotten Romero and a new coach, if you ask me. I think the number one thing was to get Cuti Romero. But when Cuti Romero stayed at Spurs, I was like, oh boy, I don't know what they do. I think a really good signing would have still been Renato Vega. I think if you had Renato Vega, David Hanchko, or you could then play Lenomad as another center back and then move Hanchko as the left back, I think that would have been fine. But you didn't get Renato Vega. You don't have great center back depth because if one of those two center backs get injured, guess who's going to play, people? Lenglet. So, didn't really benefit from it. Look, this is exactly like you had. How much did Arsenal pay for Hincapié? 50 million. You had 50 million for Raspadori, for Thiago Almada, and Nico Gonzalez, but you don't want to pay 50 million to get Pierre Hincapié, who would have been instant starter. I get it. Like you would have had two left-footed center backs. Figure it out. Figure it out if you're Diego Simeone and the club. So it just doesn't make any sense to me. I'll still put it at meh because I love Alex Baena. I think he's going to be the best transfer from this season. William Gomez was a January transfer signing by Anselmi that did nothing until Al-Ali. Great upgrade from Farioli. Hey, Farioli's the magician. He is the magician, or Joe Gomez. Okay, I'm not going to say Joe Gomez right now. I can't lie. When it clicks for Atletico, they'll be an exciting team to watch. Ibrahim, is it going to work out, though? Is it going to click? It's 3 games, so you can't go crazy and say, it's never going to work. But what if it doesn't? What if it doesn't? That is a possibility. Okay, let's go with Manchester City. I think this is such a fascinating transfer window from Manchester City because more of the old guard are leaving. Now, I think a lot of the treble players, how many of the treble players are still there? Bernardo Silva, Rodri, Ruben Diaz, Haaland. I think that's it. I think those are all the treble winners. Guys, remind me as well in the chat, or if you're watching on replay as well, how many of the treble winners are still left at the club? I don't think there's that many. But now this gets really, really interesting to see. Let's first talk about the outgoings because they did spend a lot of money. So the outgoings are James McAtee going to Nottingham Forest, Young Couto, that's going to be permanent now to Dortmund. Perone, Ederson going to Fenerbahce, Akanji, another treble winner. Kevin De Bruyne leaving on a free. Kyle Walker going to Burnley. Vitor Reis loan. Jack Grealish loan. Echeverri loan. Sverre Nypan on loan to Middlesbrough. So they made a total on sales of, I think it's 70 million. Now they spent 206 million on these players. Reinders, Ait Nouri, Ryan Shirky, James Trafford, Donnarumma, Nypan, Bertarelli, Jack Grealish coming back from the loan at the end of the season. So they spent 55 million on Reinders, 36 on Ait Nouri, 36 on Shirky, 31 on Trafford, 30 million on Donnarumma. They bought 2 goalkeepers. The Donnarumma transfer is fascinating and perplexing because we know that Pep Guardiola's football is so predicated on having a good ball-playing goalkeeper. We have seen Donnarumma. He is not good with the ball at his feet. Amazing shot stopper, and he, I think, will be still a very good signing because what did people say about Haaland joining Pep? Pep has never had this sort of striker. You had idiots like Rory Jennings said he's going to score max 15 goals. Look what happened. Haaland broke the goal-scoring record. So maybe Donnarumma is not going to be needed to really play the ball with his feet. He's going to be there just to just to make clutch saves. So as long as Donnarumma is there, I think Donnarumma starts over Trafford. I don't think you bring a goalkeeper like Donnarumma to just say, hey, you sit on the bench. Obviously, you can rotate with Trafford, and that's why you have two good goalkeepers like Liverpool have with Mamardashvili and Alisson. But I'm still wondering, like, why did they go for him? Or just did Ederson really push for the move away? Are they not really having full trust in Trafford at the moment? But I think Donnarumma is a great signing because you saw how clutch he was last season for PSG. If Manchester City get into a penalty shootout next season in the Champions League, they're winning it. So maybe they just have to do a Paraguay Copa America 2011, go in the penalty shootout every single time. And who knows? Maybe Pep is just going to start playing direct football. No more just tiki-taka, tiki-taka. Maybe Pep for his last 2 seasons is thinking to himself, let's just play counter-attacking football. We have perfect counter-attacking players like Doku, Omar Mamouche, Reinders, Sherky, Foden, Haaland, Ainuri. Maybe Pep and Man City are going to evolve a little bit more because the start of their season hasn't been good, but there's one thing you don't do. You never write off Pep Guardiola. I see people not talking about, oh, he's always been a fraud. Oh, he always needs money. Of course, Man City have spent money this summer transfer window, but I think Reinders is amazing signing. Sherky, amazing signing. I still think Ainuri, yes, he's maybe questionable defensively, but maybe he can get better at that with Manchester City. I think overall Man City have had a really good window to solve some pieces that they needed. They needed a new, fresh midfielder in Reinders, in Sherky. They needed a new left back. They needed a new goalkeeper because Ederson was going to leave and he's aging. So I think Man City have a good window. I still believe they need a right back. I cannot believe they didn't go for right back at all. Or another center back, really. Really, really baffling to me. So what do you guys think of Donnarumma? Do you think how would you rate the Donnarumma transfer to Manchester City? Do you give it like meh? Do you give it good? Do you think it's actually going to be a genius signing from Pep Guardiola? I'm just fascinated to see how he's going to use Donnarumma in the system and how Donnarumma will adapt to Premier League football. But he's always been a player that he was always wanted to play in the Premier League, and now he gets his opportunity. Let's see. Real Madrid then. I think Real Madrid as well had a really good window. They signed Mastantuono, they signed Huijsen, they signed Trent, they signed Carreras. I think it's a really good window from Real Madrid. They don't really need another midfielder. They didn't need another attacker. You got Mastantuono. You kept Rodrigo after all the rumors of Rodrigo. Oh, he's going to Arsenal. Oh, he's going to Liverpool. There's been contact. It's all BS. Rodrigo wanted to stay. Is that the greatest move for him? I don't think so because he really needs game time, especially heading into a World Cup year. So is that going to affect Rodrigo with his stance with the Brazilian national team? But overall, I think it's been a good window for Real Madrid because what they needed to do was sign some defenders. And now people, every time Trent has a bad game, oh my God, people are going crazy about him. Oh, he's not going to start the next game. What does he do? Starts the next game and gets you an assist. That's Trent Alexander-Arnold right there. They got him on a free. Huijsen, you're settled with the center back there for what, 5 to 10 years? Probably 10 years because it's Real Madrid and he always wanted to play for that club. Then you obviously have Carreras at the left back position, who finally somebody who's comfortable on the ball on that left side for Real Madrid. I think it's been a good window. What could have made it like a winner's window? If they got like a world-class right winger. If they got like somebody like that, like a prime Mahrez, who, let's say if they got like Olise. If Olise joined Real Madrid, oh boy, it's done. It's done. I'm not saying that Olise would have wanted to join because he's still at Bayern, one of the biggest clubs in the world. But if they signed a caliber player like that, oh, Real Madrid would have had a really, really good window. I think they had still good one. I think they solved what they needed to do. And obviously they hired Xabi Alonso to replace Carlo Ancelotti. Good window from Real Madrid. Another good window, you guys could maybe go with winners, is Napoli. Napoli, man, I mean, they spend money. And you know, when Conte and those rumors of him maybe leaving, having a falling out with De Laurentiis, it never happened. He stayed, and now they spent 126 million. Obviously, they got 75 million from Osimhen, so that really worked out. They got 70 million from Kvara. January transfer window. They have signed Sam Bekame from Bologna, Noah Lang, Miguel Gutierrez, what a signing, Vanya Milinkovic-Savic from Torino, Lorenzo Luca, Rasmus Højlund, KDB, and is that it? Yep, that's it, because then it's just going to be a bunch of youngsters from the Serie C. They lost, obviously, Victor Osimhen. They sold Raspadori for 22 million. What business, man? How did they get 22 million for Raspadori? I think it's been a good window. Is it going to work, though, with Rasmus Højlund? I really hope it does, because he had a good season with Atalanta, and just that move to Manchester United, the pressure was too much. He wasn't ready for the move, and it completely and utterly collapsed. And you saw what happened to his confidence at Manchester United. Can he regain it with Conte? If there's one manager that can regain the confidence of a striker, first is Gasperini, and two, it is Antonio Conte. And overall, the other signings like Mikel Gutierrez, for that money, I think they paid 18 million or 20 million for the player. 18 million for one of the best left backs from La Liga. Then you got Vanja Milinkovic-Savic, who's been a stud at Torino for the last couple of years. 6'6", basically the bodyguard for Nikola Jokic. I think Napoli really solved what they needed. They needed stronger depth in each position. Yes, obviously, Lorenzo Luca, should he be the starter for Napoli? I think he's a pretty good bench option. I think they're going to have like an obligation to buy for 30 million, which I think is something around there, which is a lot of money for Lorenzo Luca, who hasn't been like a very good striker in Serie A. Good, but not very good. So yeah, good window for Napoli. I think they really pushed themselves into being the number one team in the Serie A, trying to go back-to-back. And you have to admire that De Laurentiis backed his word. He said, no, I learned my lesson. I let Spalletti leave when we won the Scudetto the last time. I didn't back him. And look what happened to the team. They completely collapsed and finished, 8th or 9th in that season? They had terrible football. Rudi Garcia to Calzona. Such terrible vibes with Napoli. De Laurentiis learned his lesson. He said, no, I need to back Conte right now. I'm not going to just go for like the old players, just like KDB sort of players. No, I'm going to bring in youngsters like obviously Miguel Gutierrez. Let's bring in a guy like a Vanja Milinkovic-Savic, who's 28 years old. Lorenzo Luca, 24. Rasmus Højlund can maybe rectify his career at 22. Yeah, I think it's going to be a good window for Napoli, and they really strengthen themselves more. Okay, Milan. I'm just putting them at meh. It just hurts to see this team and what they are trying to do or trying to stay relevant. Because yes, they made some good sales. Let's go through the entire list, because they made so many sales this summer, Milan, and obviously with it's just too many transfers to keep up with. Let's just go here. Let's just keep going here. All right. First up, they got Allegri as the new manager. Is that going to really work? Shout out only Barca. Hey, Unk. Am I now the Unk status? Is that what I've gone to in my life? I've gone to Unk status here on YouTube. Remember to hit the like button, subscribe to the channel if you're new around here, people, as well, and give your thoughts in the comments down below. So, departures. Florenzi, he retired. Tammy Abraham left. I think he was on loan. Okay, where's the big sales? Here we go. Emerson Royal for 9 million. The fact they got 9 million for Royal is baffling to me. Kalulu, they got 15 million. Obviously, that was a loan. That was obligation to buy. They got 20 million for Noah Okafor. Like, some of these sales are actually really good for Milan. 25 million for Theo Hernandez is kind of a shame. Malik Thiaw going to Newcastle for 35 million. I think that's a pretty decent deal because he just couldn't solidify himself as a starting center back at Milan. 55 million for Reinders is stupid. You could have easily gone for 90 million. 90 million. I mean, I don't know what they were thinking there. Reinders, one of the best midfielders in Europe, and you sold him for 55 million? Boy, oh boy, that was stupid. And then obviously Chukwueze, I think, is a loan. I don't know how much is the option to buy him. They loaned out Camarda, which again is just stupidity from this board. It really is. You have to wonder, what are these guys thinking? Or are they even thinking at this moment in time? So they brought in Odogu, a young center back from Wolfsburg. Adrian Rabiot. Really? What? Wait, what?
Bruh, really?
Yes, they reunited. The happiest marriage in football. Rabiot and Allegri. Rabiot joins Milan. I mean, come on, man. What are we doing here? And actually, the first game of the Serie A back from the international break is Milan versus Bologna. Jonathan Rowe having a fist fight with Rabiot. Then they signed Atekame from Young Boys Estopinian. I think that's a really good transfer. De Winter from Genoa for 20 million. Ricci, another really good signing. Jasari, really good signing. The biggest transfer, though, was Christopher Nkunku for 37 million joining the team. I don't know, people. Should I be positive about Milan, or should I just say this is the state of Milan in 2025? It's just a Nokia phone at this point. You wanna have some sympathy. You wanna have some positivity about them, but oh my God, this is so poor from Milan. Like, you had the money, right? You're not playing Champions League football this season. You're not playing any European football this season. So all you need to do is just strengthen where you need to. Center back, completely new midfield, which you did. Fair enough. You got the left back, good. You need center backs. You cannot go another season with Pavlovic in a back three. What do? They kept him. De Winter better be good. It's just so sad. The backups. Okay, is Nkunku going to start over Santi Jimenez? Okay, you still got Pulisic, you got Rafael Leao, you brought in Modric. Like, wonderful, right? Wonderful storylines you're trying to build here. But I'm sorry, they had enough money from the sales, and I don't think they spent it well. I think they did some smart business, like a Ricci, like a Yasario, even though he got injured. I think they needed a better player than Nkunku. Nkunku, maybe he can rectify his career because it's been a bit poor so far at Chelsea. I hope it gets better for Nkunku, but I don't trust it because what we've seen the past year has not been good enough whatsoever. So that's why I have Milan at meh. If they got like a better forward than Christopher Nkunku, if they got like somebody, let's say, I'm just trying to think of a good, let's say like a Samu, right? If they got Samu from Porto, young, up and coming, I think he would really fit into a Allegri style of football. Perfect. I think Victor Boniface would have been good. Obviously, that medical failed, even though somehow he miraculously recovered and had a successful medical at Werder Bremen. So make that sense if you're a Milan fan. Yeah, I'm going to have Milan at meh. I think it's a little bit disappointing to what we're saying. You die a bro or live long. No puede ser, man. No puede ser. You die a bro or live long enough to become an unk. Well, the unk status is real here. Go back to 1990 and tell Milan fans their forward line was going to be CONCACAF. Oh, man. They went from Dutch excellence to CONCACAF mediocrity. That's Milan right now in 2025 in the forward line. I think the midfield is solid, though. Solid. Yeah, defensively. Forget about it. Did you believe that Santi to Roma was ever true? Of course not. It's BS. What do you really want me to believe all these journalists? No, thank you. Okay, FC Bayern Munich. Wow. Am I going now crazy and saying that Bayern Munich are just now a Premier League rejects team? No, I can't say that about Bayern Munich. They're still one of the biggest teams in the world. So, their business was Jonathan Tah, Tom Bischoff, obviously Luis Diaz for big money, Nico Jackson, they paid 16 million loan fee, and then they're going to have an, I think, obligation to buy for 80 million for Nico Jackson. Sales-wise, they did sell pretty well. They sold Matthias Tell for 35 million, Kingsley Coman for 25 million, Paul Vanner for 15 million. I don't understand it. I think you got to give the guy an opportunity, if you ask me. That's just me. 15 million. Adam Maznou, why didn't you use him? I know he hasn't played any games for Everton. Good, decent backup. Why do Bayern Munich really don't trust their youngsters? That's one thing. Obviously, Musiala is a generational talent. Otherwise, they don't really trust their youngsters, which is bizarre to me. So did they really strengthen where they needed to? Yes. I think Bayern Munich did strengthen what they needed to. They got Jonathan Tah, who I'm not the biggest fan of him, but can he complement well with maybe Upamecano better than Eric Dyer? Yeah, I'll give you that. Yeah, Jonathan Tah, but that's not like an excellent center back signing if you ask me for Bayern Munich. I think Diaz, massive upgrade on the left wing. I know they overpaid for him, but they were desperate. The Nico Jackson one is a bit like, okay, do you really need him? Do you, like, if you're going to pay 80 million for Nico Jackson, that basically guarantees to me that Harry Kane is maybe staying for 2 more seasons, and then Nico Jackson is like the future number 9 for Bayern Munich. Is that what we're thinking here, people, with the Jackson transfer? Because otherwise, he's just going to sit on the bench. Yeah, he might come in a couple games to rotate with Harry Kane, which I think is valuable for his career. But 80 million euros. I mean, he's a good overall footballer with very inconsistent finishing. I still think Bayern Munich had a good window. I know they've overpaid for some players. I think they sold really well because, look, Leroy Sané, no more existence. Kingsley Coman can't stay fit. Matthias Tel, the wonder kid, didn't really work out at the team, and you can just see now with Spurs, he's not getting enough playing time either. Did they really solve what they needed? So, okay, maybe we put at meh for Bayern Munich. Let's put at meh. I still think they had a decent window, though. Okay, put a 1 if you think it's a meh, and put a 2 if you think it's good for Bayern Munich. Let's see what you guys say in the chat. Let's see what you people say in the chat, because I'm a little bit like hesitant. I'm 50-50 on this one with Bayern Munich, whether it's meh or good. Okay, most people are going meh so far. Okay, let's keep it at meh then for Bayern Munich. Yeah, could have been. I think it could have been a little bit better. I think Lucho's going to do really well, though. Yeah, he might be inconsistent with his finishing, but Daddy, Unk, what's next? What's next, people? What am I going to be next? Oh, man. Vincent Kompany. You can say what you want about Vincent Kompany. I think Vincent Kompany's actually done a really good job because the Bayern board are incompetent. They're really not backing him sufficiently with good signings. They haven't been... Cuz. Hey, man, cuz. Is that my next... No, we're not doing this. We're not doing this, guys. Come on. Will he do well? What do we think, like, GA wise, Nico Jackson is gonna have for this season with Bayern Munich? 15? Yeah, I would say 15. I think because Bayern Munich are gonna have like the 8 Champions League games, all of the Bundesliga, all of the DFB Pokal. You need rotation. So Nico Jackson, good super sub off the bench, maybe to come into the right wing. Possibly, yeah. I think it's actually a pretty good signing. It's just the 80 million is just crazy to me. If you got 50 million, I think it's a smart deal. They got pulled down their pants in the whole transfer saga. Abuelo, Miguel. Wow. I'm just now at Abuelo stance. All right, we're going to keep Bayern Munich at meh. Manchester United, people. Forget about the results you've seen so far. Shout out to Grimsby. I actually like their signings, to be honest. I love Mbeumo. I think he's a really good player. Super underrated last couple years with Brentford and Cameroon. I like Matheus Cunha. Lemons, I haven't seen enough of him. I mean, he just has to be better than the 2 clowns that are in goal right now for Manchester United because both of them are inconsistent and you can have no trust with them. But the one thing I got to look at Manchester United with this transfer window is where's the midfielder? Yeah, there was like some whispers or just some BS transfer news about there. Oh, we're inquiring about Baleba. Okay, cool. I'm inquiring about some superstar out there. Doesn't mean I'm going to go with it. No. Come on, man. It's like, if you're going to sign a midfielder, just go get somebody. Why didn't Manchester United go like for Lamine Camara or a player like that? That would have been, I think, a really smart business for Manchester United. But the one thing they had to solve over this summer, get some goal scorers. They got it with Matheus Cunha. They got it with Mbeumo. Sesko, I guess he's going to be okay. I can't guarantee you he's going to be good if you're a Manchester United fan. I can't guarantee it because he's got very good technical skill. He's basically the Luka Doncic of football. Slovenian, of course. Good technical skill, but his finishing is super inconsistent. That's why I kind of prefer like an Ekitike over Sesko because Ekitike didn't have a lot of chances with Frankfurt, but he also had good combination play. Sesko got into really good positions consistently with Leipzig and completely fluffed his line multiple times. Now, I think with Manchester United, he's not going to have as many chances. Maybe those chances will fall to a player like an Mbeumo, like a Cunha. So I actually think this has been a good window for Manchester United. I think they got the goalkeeper, even though we don't know the goalkeeper too much, unless people that follow the Belgian Pro League can obviously let me know if he's a good goalkeeper. But he just has to be better than clowns. Is that hard to do? It can't be that hard. The one thing that kind of puts me down as like a low good, if you want to say like that for Manchester United, they need midfielders. They desperately need it. They need somebody to replace a Casemiro Ugarte. I think Baleba would have been fantastic, but you sacked the kitchen lady, you sacked all the cleaners, you sacked all of this. Who's going to be sacked next? The kit man? the assistant managers, the security guards. Hey, who's going to be sacked next at Manchester United to raise the funds? Because they have to sign a midfielder in January. If they don't, boy, oh boy, I still think Manchester United are going to struggle a lot. And then they're going to blame Amorim. They're going to sack him. And then this whole thing starts again and again. Look, I think Amorim is in a very difficult situation at the moment, but it would be ludicrous to sack him right now. It would be, because you're just doing the same thing you've been doing for so many years. Hire, sack. Hire, sack. The new manager has a new philosophy. Look at Erik ten Hag. Had a good first season, then he just wasn't able to really adequately bolster the team and really had some poor signings like the Anthony, like the Rasmus Højlund. I think Manchester United have made some good signings. Take your time with it. Relax. You got some good players. Just the midfield needs sorting. You got a good defense. I know the Grimsby result was terrible, but overall this window, I think it's been a good window for Manchester United. Let's see what Seb is building here. Shout out Seb. Good transfer window, but great players become terrible at United, so does it even mean anything? No, it doesn't. It doesn't. And I really do feel bad for some of these players, because you look at a guy like an Mbeumo, super underrated at Brentford. If he becomes terrible at Manchester United, people are going to be like, oh, he's never been good. Come on now. We cannot do that. Manchester United is just a cesspool. You go there to ruin your career. And if you're a player, when you leave, you're good. If you're a manager and you got sacked, oh, you're worse and worse and worse. You just get the Manchester United curse at that. It's the big, what was it? What's that plague called? Bictonic plague or something like that. I can't remember what it's called at this moment in time, but you guys know what I'm talking about. We're building a new one. Yep. How much is that going to cost? 2 billion? Where are Manchester United getting the money from? Where? Because Sayer says it can't be a good window for United due being unable to shift players Amorim doesn't fancy. Well, they did make some good sales. Garnacho leaving, Anthony leaving, Rasmus Højlund leaving. Actually, how much was their overall balance? I didn't even check that for Manchester United for this transfer window. Let me check here, because they did sell a lot of players. They sold Anthony and Garnacho. So how much did they sell? Oh man, they only sold 74 million. Is that all? Because I think the Garnacho is only So Rasmus Højlund is alone, and that's an obligation to buy. Then obviously Marcus Rashford left, Jadon Sancho, but wow, 76 million, 75 million, 74 million on 3 forwards. Let's see. I find myself actively hoping Swedish players don't go to United because, you could say Man United needs experienced players who ain't going to feel the pressure of fixing the club, but when the plan changes every other week, what are they going to offer? Yeah, I do feel bad for the players. All right, PSG. PSG didn't do a lot of business compared to last summer, because what do they need to fix, really? I think they only signed, obviously, Lucas Xavier because they got rid of Donnarumma. They signed Zabarni for 63 million, which is wow. I mean, Bournemouth made 125 million off their starting 2 center backs. They sold Donnarumma, Mukiele, Asensio, Carlos Soler, Skriniar. So yeah, I would say it's like meh window. I think losing Donnarumma is a big loss for PSG. Yeah, he had a falling out with Luis Enrique, and then Luis Enrique came out afterwards and said, it's all because of my tactics and how I want to play football. Donnarumma is one of the best goalkeepers in the world. Lucas Xavier had a really good season with Lille. I watched him a couple times in the Champions League. I thought he was unbelievable then. You cannot downgrade like that if you're PSG. Zabani, good prospect for the window. I think it's meh, because you're downgrading in a very key position that was super important for you winning your first Champions League last season. And for that, I think it's a meh window. They still got an unbelievable team. They still got unbelievable youngsters. And you look at how João Neves just scored. I think it was a hat trick, and 2 of the goals were a bicycle kick goal. I mean, that's just the talent that this team possesses. And yeah, I think maybe one position is actually, very good point, is a backup to Hakimi. Because that's about it. Because he's going to be gone for the AFCON. So yeah, that's probably the only position where you look at PSG and you're like, maybe just the backup right back. Maybe Marquinhos can slot into the right back position. But Zabani, Pacho, that's going to be a future center back pairing eventually when Marquinhos leaves the club. I think that's really, really good for PSG. Made some decent sales, but I still think it's a meh window just because of the downgrade there. Okay, it is Juventus. Okay, where do we put Juventus? didn't sign any center backs. That's the only thing that would kind of hurt me with Juventus. They didn't sign any center backs. It's going to be fascinating because they signed Segrova. I don't know what Juve are trying to do here. Are they trying to be like the United Nations because they signed Segrova, Kosovo player. They got a couple Serbians. Okay, maybe Juventus want to be the United Nations right now of football. They got a Croatian manager. Oh, bro. It could be sometimes getting tense in the changing room for them. I actually think this has been a really good window for Juventus because they signed some good players in the forward line. Jonathan David, Lois Openda, because that was the one thing for Juve is they didn't have a lot of goal scorers on their side last season. The only one I would say is, damn, they just need better defenders. You cannot go the entire season with a Lloyd Kelly. I think Cabal returning from his injury is super vital because then you have Cabal, you have Bremer in the middle, and then who you want to play on the right center back. They did have an elite center back, but he went to Real Madrid. That was so baffling when they sold Huijsen. If they didn't sell Huijsen, I think Juventus would have a really good team. I think the starting 11 is solid, and I think that can take them far in the Champions League. But the bench is where it's going to hurt them this season. But if you look at the transfers alone, Conceição, 32 million. Yeah, good player. I think him and Segrova can really challenge each other super well for that right wing position. Kalulu, permanent deal. Gregorio, permanent deal. João Mario. Yeah, he's a good right back. Good right back. I wouldn't say like amazing or very good. Yeah, he's a good right back. Jonathan David on a free. Really good deal there, and that's about it with the forward line, and obviously Lois Openda, which I'm surprised Lois Openda, and he's only 25 years old, so they got some good players entering into their prime. Sales-wise, Rovella left on a permanent, obviously after the loan to Lazio. Alberto Costa, which I don't really understand it. I thought Alberto Costa at the end of the season for Juventus was cooking. Fagioli, Savona going to Nottingham Forest, and Bengola for 10 million. Again, like you're letting go of these youngsters for cheap. It doesn't make a lot of sense to me. But I think overall, Juventus had a pretty good window. The only thing that hurts them is just getting some defenders. Maybe they just didn't have the funds for it. But getting rid of players like Nico Gonzalez and getting rid of players like Douglas Luiz is valuable because those two horrible signings. I think Douglas Luiz is one of the worst signings I've seen in Serie A history. Unbelievable. For how good he was at Aston Villa, and he was a good midfielder at Aston Villa, he did absolutely nothing. I don't know he came in with an injury, but wow, it was shockingly bad from his perspective. So I would have Juventus at a good. They got rid of the players they needed to. Maybe they wanted to get rid of some other players that they couldn't, and they bought well. And now Juventus have a strong attack, a very good midfield. It's just, can the defense hold on for the entire season? We'll wait and see. But yeah, I think a good window from Juve. Juve, one of the best from the Serie A. Barcelona, I think a good window. For where they're at financially, and big up to everybody in the chat as well. Remember to hit the like button. Subscribe to the channel if you're new around here. Let's get up to 40 likes, people. Come on, we can get up to 40 likes. And big up to Jeff Serrano for the wonderful super chat earlier. Barcelona. So obviously they signed Marcus Rashford. Johan Garcia. I said it when that transfer happened, and I say it over again on social media. Johan Garcia will be the best signing this summer, all of Europe. What a goalkeeper. What I saw from him at Espanyol, basically single-handedly saving the team from getting relegated. The fact that Barcelona signed him, obviously from rivals, and that when he returns to Espanyol, it is going to be a tense environment. For 25 million, sick deal. So then they signed, obviously, Bargi for 2 million. I think that's a good, like, low-risk signing because, obviously, he's returning from an ACL tear, which could hamper him. But Rooney Bargi has a lot of talent. Marcus Rashford on loan. Yeah, take the opportunity. You couldn't get Luis Diaz. You couldn't get Nico Williams. You couldn't get somebody else. There was another player they were linked to. They couldn't get those players. So why not take an option on Marcus Rashford? Rashford has something to prove. Yeah, it hasn't been, like, the best start from him so far with Barcelona, but I think Rashford can have a good season with Barcelona and be clutch in those moments in the Champions League. And they only spent, can you imagine, Barcelona only spent 27 million this summer. They sold, obviously, Pau Victor to Braga, Alex Valle, the left back, to Como, Pablo Torre going to Mallorca, Lenglet. Obviously, the one transfer that really is going to hurt Barcelona, I think, is Inigo Martinez. I really think they needed another defender to sign, but they're limited, Barca. They're limited financially. I think heading into next season, hopefully the Camp Nou is open. They can finally get some revenue from there, but it could be something that maybe Hansi Flick is like, okay, I take this team so far, but we need some reinforcements in certain positions, but I haven't been able to get it. But as long as you have Pedri, Lamine Yamal, next summer, you look at Barcelona, you're like, they need a striker. But who are they going to sign? And how much is it going to cost? Because they're going to eventually need to replace Robert Lewandowski. And if we look at the striker market, the one guy I thought that could have really been a Barcelona player would have been Alexander Isak. I think that was the dream of Laporta. But maybe it's Haaland. Who knows? And how much is that going to cost? That's going to cost like 200 million. So, oh boy, that would be so much money for Barcelona. But I think they did well this transfer window. They got another attacking option. They got an extremely good goalkeeper. That's what Barcelona needed. The only thing that kind of maybe pushed them into winners would have been a center back. That's it. That's it for me. That's it for me. Wow, Rooney, completely forgot about him. Wow. Yeah, you forgot about him, Seb? Bro, I think he's one of the most talented Swedish players right now. I really do. I think he's one of the best. Ooh, that's a good shout, you know. That is a good shout. Seydou Guirassy would be... I know Barcelona fan. Oh my God, we're signing this guy. He's 28 years old. Oh, he's from Guinea? I think Guirassy would actually be a really good signing for Barcelona. Good shout, Shivam. Good shout. Yeah, they do. I know he's not registered. I know. Oh, boy. Arsenal. The Arsenal. They spent big money again, huh? They spent absolutely big money this transfer window. They didn't sell a lot either. Wow. Arsenal spent almost 300 million euros and only sold for 10. I think the Kivior will become a permanent next summer. Oh, he is registered. Okay, that's good at least for Rooney Bargi. Oh, at least he's now registered. I think Arsenal, you know what? They're one of my winners. I think Arsenal had a really good window. I think people want to like criticize Vita Yerkeres. Oh, this guy's not technical enough. Get you 2 goals. He has that mentality. I'm not going to let some 15-year-old get his first goal in the Premier League. Screw the kid. I need goals. I need to eat. Feed me more like I'm right back from WWE. Although they signed Zubamendi, Eze, Noni Madueke. I still don't understand that transfer. Mosquera, I think, is a really good transfer. Obviously, Piero Hincapié, Christian Nolgaard. So they are stacked defensively. There is no doubt about it. Arsenal are stacked defensively. For me, the best team on paper defensively. I just worry about like the left wing position if Eze can really be that guy. So I think Arsenal. I think Andrea Berto now with his first season with the transfer window. I think that he did the best he could. He gave all the tools possible for Arteta. He gave Arteta Michelin star dish with the Michelin star ingredients. He got like shiitake mushrooms. He got the best organic soy sauce. He got the best bluefin tuna out there possible. Let's see if the chef can now cook it up and give you a 3-star dish. That will be it, because I think Hincapié, unbelievable center back, really versatile, can play on the left back position. Victor Yerkes, you guys know I did an individual video on it. I love the player. Eze, 27. Look, all of these players are in the prime of their careers. Zubamendi, 26. Eze, 27. Yerkes, 27. Hincapié, 23. Noni Madueke, you can say what you want. Yeah, they maybe spent too much money on him. 23 years old. They still need a backup for Saka. Look what happened. Saka got injured, and Madueke had to start against Liverpool over the weekend. Obviously, didn't have like his best game, but I thought he was one of the better players for Arsenal against Liverpool. But Arsenal mean business. Now it's time to deliver. It's simple as that. I think it's Arsenal's time to deliver. Let's see if it happens. But overall, with the signings, I think if you're an Arsenal fan, you got to be like, our club mean business. I don't think you can have any sort of criticism for the Cronkies, for the way they're handling this team. I think now the Cronkies and Berta, they want to win this league or the Champions League or just get an FA Cup at least. If they don't win anything, I don't want to get into that discussion, but I think Arteta should be sacked. I think now this team is so good. They're ready to win. It's a ready-win mentality. Because if they don't win, so you see, Saliba may be leaving. Maybe Saka, maybe we'll have second thoughts, even though he's from the academy, so I don't think he will ever leave the team. But let's see. It's going to be an interesting season for Arsenal. I think they had one of the best transfer windows around in Europe. Yerke's career is so fascinating. Age 25 championship with Coventry. Age 27 starter with them. Good window. People saying winners. Yeah. Fantastic window for Arsenal. We got a squad to win the league and Champions League. It's just up to Arteta. And if he doesn't he gets 100% the sack. I think so. I think this is it for Arteta. You got all the tools. You just have to do it. You just have to be successful. If you don't, you're gone. Adios. Look at Red Bull and F1 racing. Every time a second driver drops an absolute horrific performance, gone, until they find the next Verstappen. That's what they do at Red Bull. Arsenal should be doing the same thing now with this team. They got all the ingredients. I need 2 trophies minimum this summer. Ooh, look, you see? Look, Angel knows his team is ready to win. I don't know if Arteta resigns and Arsenal finish lower than second. People will feel stupid. Second, third, fourth, for me, they're the same thing. But as long as you win like an FA Cup, I think people are okay with the second place finish, or League Cup or Champions League, of course. But you got to win a trophy to keep on going. I think it's very valuable for the mindset of the players and the mindset of the fans and the entire club. But let's see. Overall, though, Arsenal had a really, really good window. Borussia Dortmund then. So they signed Joe Bellingham, Fabio Silva, and I think there was one more signing, but they didn't really get a center back. Again, like, that's another issue I see with Borussia Dortmund. They don't sign enough center backs because Nico Schlotterbeck is still injured, I think, until, I want to say, November, somewhere around there. People can fact check me in the comments down below. So they signed Fabio Silva, Carney Chukwuemeka on loan. 20 million, for Carney Anselmino, the Chelsea center back, a youngster from Argentina. They let go of Jamie Gittins for 56 million. I think that's pretty good money. Mukoko for 5 million. I hope he does well after Copenhagen. Giovanni Reina left for Borussia Mönchengladbach for 4 million. Overall, I would probably say meh for Dortmund. I don't think a player like Fabio Silva is going to do much. Like, you got Maximilian Bayer. Why do you need to get a player like Fabio Silva? I think you need center backs. You need another midfielder. Yeah, Joe Bellingham is like kind of hybrid 8. I haven't seen him a lot at Sunderland, so I cannot say. But Dortmund needs center backs. They didn't sign one. So they need another midfielder, kind of more box to box, maybe a more creative guy, more compared to Joe Bellingham. I think that's where Dortmund are missing. But they spent a lot of money last summer, like Gerassi and these sort of guys, Young Couto. But yeah, I think that's kind of what hampered Dortmund from really spending big overall. Although you got Carney Chukwuemeka, so that's kind of like a creative number 10, if you ask me. Anselmino is good. He just has very little first-team experience. I think he played 5 games at Boca, and he was already sold. And he was already sold before debuting for the team. Yeah, he didn't play a lot in Boca at all. I don't remember seeing him at all with the team. So hopefully this can be good for his development. But again, it's like your one season with Dortmund. So are you going to really help Dortmund? Can Dortmund be competitive? Because they have a really tough Champions League schedule. Question marks. Okay, then the next team is Benfica. I think Benfica have had... You talk about a transfer window. Hit them and Porto. They have no excuses. They both should be trying winning the league this season. They really, and trying to go far in European competitions. And that's why you're going to look at the managers if they're not successful. So they spent 105 million and sold for 97 million. So let's talk about who they sold first. So they obviously sold Carreras for 50 million after they got him. Was it for free from Real Madrid? Or no, from Manchester United? I cannot remember how much they sell. Did they sell him for like 2 million Manchester United to Benfica? I can't remember exactly. Oktokoglu left for 22 million. They got 12 million for Arthur Cabral, which I thought was never going to be a good signing. Tank stayed to Feyenoord for 6 million. Florentino, I think, is a loan initially. Then Burnley are going to pay 25 million. Great deal for Benfica. I don't think Florentino Luis is worth that money. Very good defensive midfielder, so maybe he could fit well into the Premier League, being solely defensive. That's all Florentino needs to do. Don't do anything on the ball, even though you're a midfielder. Just be defensive. So yeah, I think they sold well. But the signings they brought in: Rita Rios, Ivanovic from Royal Union Saint-Gilloise, Dodi Lukebakio on the final day of the transfer window. Dedic, this Dedic guy, by the way, I didn't see him much at RB Salzburg. This guy is sick. Sick. Right back. Samuel Dahl, obviously confirmed. Sudakov. I didn't know this transfer even happened. They got Sudakov. Of all players, Sudakov, who I would say is like inconsistent. Obviously, I don't watch Shakhtar games, so I'm just going by what I saw in the Champions League last season for Sudakov. He's a good creative midfielder, but a little bit inconsistent. Maybe now around better players at Benfica, he can thrive more. But if you're asking me, Benfica solved everything they needed. They needed more goal scorers. They got that with Luka Bacchio. They got a right winger. They got Sheldrop on the other side. If Bruno Lage wants to play him, sometimes he doesn't. Maybe inconsistent performances from Sheldrop. They got it back up to Pavlidis, who maybe they will sell next summer. They got Ivanovic right there. They got the perfect midfield. They got two fullbacks. I think Benfica have an unbelievable starting 11, and now it's on Bruno Lage. I think they absolutely cooked with the scouting, but the best thing was getting somebody like Luka Bacchio. Like, yes, he doesn't have like the greatest career with the Belgium national team. I'm telling you, I watched a lot of Sevilla last season, one because they're garbage, and it was quite entertaining to see how bad they were. But Luka Bacchio was always a stand-up player. You give him any chance, he will create a moment of magic. So I think Benfica needed a player like that, like a Luka Bacchio, to pair with a Sudakov or Ivanovic or a Pavlidis or a Sheldrup or an Arsnes. So there is no excuse. I think Bruno Lage and Benfica, they must win the Liga Portugal this season. They signed some incredible players. I'm really excited to see how they do in the Champions League. They're going to be exciting nights at the Stadio de Luz this summer. So yeah, great. I think they are one of the big winners. Big winners. Shout out Matt. If Rui Costa gets voted out and Benfica upgrade on Bruno Lage early, they will be scary because of that team. Agreed. I do agree with that. So let's see if it happens. Big up Adam. How are you doing? Big up to Yes Global, Forza Juve. Excited to watch 100%. I think Enzo Barrenechea. How much do they pay from Aston Villa? It's a loan, but I think it's 12, 13 million. Give it up to Benfica. To me, I think they are the winners as of right now. The winners. Arsenal second, then Porto third. That's how I would have it as of right now. Spurs. Xavi Simons and Kudus. Is that going to be enough to put them in good? Did they need more? They kept some good play. The best thing for them was keeping Cuti Romero because he could have easily left them. So, wow, they spent 210 million. When did they spend 210 million? When did Spurs spend 210 million, people? Holy crap. That's crazy to me. I didn't even know they spent 210 million. Anyways, Xavi Simons, I think a good signing, 22 years old. I think Kudus, yeah, you can say what you want from last season. I think Kudus is a baller and will always be a baller to me. I think getting those two guys a bit more creativity. They need some creativity down the wing. Obviously, James Maddison going down with an ACL injury. Good that they get a player like Xavi Simons to help with the creativeness of the team. Because you saw, I heard against Bournemouth that they really lacked some creativity, and maybe it was also Thomas Frank's tactics and how Bournemouth played. But getting those two players, I think is good. Paulinho on loan, even though Paulinho was absolutely terrible last season at Bayern Munich, maybe because of the injury, but overall just not good enough. Then they get a player like, obviously, Donzo, now it's a permanent. Vuskovic is a permanent as well. Takai from Kawasaki Frontal, Paulinho, and then obviously Colomoni yesterday on loan. So overall, where did they need also? Where would you guys put Spurs? Would you put them at good or meh? I'm confused with Spurs. I'm actually confused because could they have upgraded on the striker position? Could they have done better than somebody like Colomoni, who I think Colomoni at Juventus was really, really good. Really good. Kudus, Xavi Simons, I love those players a lot. They didn't really need to sign any defenders. They didn't need to sign a goalkeeper. Maybe they could have signed another midfielder. I actually maybe would say a good window for Spurs because I'm trying to compare with the other teams there. No, maybe I would go meh. No, I would go good. I think getting a player like Xavi Simons, because Xavi Simons was linked to Chelsea all summer, and then Chelsea went for Garnacho basically instead of Xavi Simons. I think Xavi Simons is 100 times better player than Garnacho. Easily. So getting a player like Xavi Simons, yeah, okay, the Eze thing, it's an L. I mean, what can you do? Eze is from an Arsenal Academy player, so of course he was going to join Arsenal if he had the choice over Spurs. I mean, that would have been crazy to me if he even went to Spurs. But getting a player like, oh my God, getting a player like Xavi Simons, get a player like Kudos into the team. I think they bought well for Thomas Frank. I'm a little bit worried still about the striker, even though Richarlison's had a good summer. Yeah, maybe just one more midfielder. That's all Spurs needed. Just one more midfielder, and I think they would have had a really good window. So I would put them at good. Let's keep Spurs at good. Oh, Jesus. I mean, we could be here an hour just judging this team. where do you put Chelsea, people? Where do you put Chelsea? I, let's just look together at their transfers because it's always just baffling to me. I think first off we have to say Chelsea sold really well. So they made 328 million on sales this summer, and no, 332, and they made a loss of 4. They made a positive of profit of 4 million this summer. Wow, I mean Chelsea are just Chelsea are crazy. Oh, people are putting them in losers. Really? Okay, let's just wait, people. Let's look at them together. Let's look at the transfers together for Chelsea. Let's look at it together. Okay, Madueke for 56 million. Brilliant. You didn't need Madueke. He wasn't doing well. Nkunku, 37 million. Did Nkunku play well for Chelsea? No, he was mostly time injured. Felix for 30 million. Yeah, you made some loss in the player. It is what it is. Petrovic for 28 million. How many games did Petrovic have for Chelsea? How many? They didn't get anything from him. Leslie sold him for 28 million. Renato Vega, after one good season with Juventus, sold him for 24 million. How they got 23 million for Broha, who's always been injured, it seems like for me, to Burnley? Crazy. Carney, I think he would have been a really good player for Chelsea if they really gave him an opportunity. Nico Jackson, he'll be permanent. And then obviously all the Arsenal, the Man City, and then obviously some Strasbourg players. Lucas Bergson went to Mallorca. So I think sales-wise, Chelsea cooked because some of those players are not even worth that sort of money. Now, if you look at the players that have arrived to the team, João Pedro, we've already seen what he's been doing. Jamie Gittins, I think 56 million. Did you really need another player out wide on the left? No. Garnacho, was he needed? No, he's not a good footballer. He's not. Hato, brilliant. I think that's a brilliant deal. Liam Delap, good backup striker if you need sort of a different profile up front if you're Chelsea. Esteval, brilliant for me. Ezugo, 22 million, didn't have a lot of game time with Sporting. Mamadou Sarr, Kendry Pais obviously then went left on loan. This signing right here makes zero sense to me. What are they signing Buonanotte for? I'm trying to be objective here, Chelsea fans. Why on earth did you sign Buonanotte? Really doesn't make any sense to me, that transfer, but they went with a loan. Fair enough, you can go with a loan with that player, but I would say they needed another center back. I think they needed another goalkeeper because, yeah, you can say what you want. Look, Sanchez, very good. He's so valuable to Maresca's formation and style when they're trying to play out from the back. I don't care. He's not a good goalkeeper. He's not trustworthy. I still think they needed another goalkeeper. Center backs, maybe they could have gone better there, but they have still Colwell, even though he's out injured with an ACL. Tosin, I think he's good. I got to say, Chalobah has done really well so far. Chalobah, since he had that move to Crystal Palace and returned to Chelsea, I think he's been really good, Chalobah. I would probably say, where would you put Chelsea? Are we putting them at meh? It's just so difficult because of the amount of transfers. It's so difficult. I'm trying to keep up here, people. But they upgraded striker. They didn't really upgrade on the left wing. Could you say? Did they really upgrade in any of the defensive departments? I would go with meh. I would go with meh. If they got like I think a really good center back would have been Hincapie. I think that would have been an excellent signing for Chelsea. He's not that young. I mean, that old. He's only 23 for Chelsea standards at this moment in time. Get a play. You have to just pay the money and get Xavi Simons. Why do you pay 40 and 56 million for Gittins and Garnacho when you can get Xavi Simons for 60 million, 65 million? Get the player. That kind of where I'm a little bit hesitant with Chelsea, but I think what's really benefiting them is the sales, and the sales of those certain players is fantastic business from them, but just needed to strengthen a little bit more in the starting 11. That's just my little worry because they are going to have a strong bench with the amount of money they've spent, but I think it's been a meh. I'm close to putting them in good, Chelsea. Don't worry, Chelsea fans. I still think you did some good business in this window. Do I need to say anything, people? We are number one. Say, we are number one. Oh, yeah, I forgot about that one, too. Yeah, the Mike Mannion. I forgot about that. Directors were set on Garnacho for some reason. It's so weird. I really don't understand how. I'm sorry. Really. if I'm like a Chelsea fan, why were the directors going crazy about Garnacho? Really? Oh, he's got potential. Oh, he's got some decent stats. Cool. You can have the data, right? You can have the data. Eyes, ojos. My eyes tell me that's not a good player. That's not a good player. Just too inconsistent in front of goal. If you're a forward, okay, you can have some nice dribbles. You still got to have some end product. Garnacho simply doesn't have that. He doesn't. Shout out, man. Big up, Michael. Big up to you as well. So, yeah, Chelsea, I think, are met. Liverpool winners. Do I need to say anything? I feel bad for Gahey. I'm not even like a Liverpool fan saying, oh man, just screw Crystal Palace and this sort of stuff. I just feel bad for Gahey, man. I think he did the best he could. He handled it the most professional way possible. And he didn't get the move. Look, if Crystal Palace couldn't find a sufficient replacement for him, it is what it is. You just have to eat it if you're Liverpool and Liverpool fans. Gahey wanted to join. I mean, at least that's good. But unfortunately, Crystal Palace couldn't find a sufficient center back, which for me is also like, you're hampering Oliver Glasner, a dude who brought you an FA Cup, a Community Shield, and you're not sufficiently backing him. You sold the Eze. You have Eze money? Come on, man. It's just poor from Crystal Palace, but they kept Gahey. Gahey didn't join Liverpool, but Liverpool signed Leone, Frank Pong, Kerkers, Mamadashvili, Alexander Isak, Ekatike, Florian Wirtz. What a window, man. And look, I don't like spending crazy money. And that's why I'm always going to be critical of like clubs like a Como for spending big money, a Liverpool, a Chelsea, because you have to do something. You cannot just spend that money and be like, oh, yay, we finished happily in the top 4. No. You need to win. So with Liverpool having an unprecedented sort of transfer window, I'm sorry. There's nothing short of just winning. You have to win with that team. You're getting Alexander Isak, a dude who I've been following since his AEK days. Yeah, he didn't do well at Dortmund. Goes to Milan, then goes to Real Sociedad. It's like unbelievable that Liverpool and the business they've done, it's just outstanding. It really is. Now there's massive pressure. And again, I will say it. I think I said this after another video. Maybe it was the Ekatike one. Like, if you're a Liverpool fan, you're not going to spend money like this ever again. You're not. This was the biggest window possible. And it's only going to be once every maybe 10, 15 years with FSG. So enjoy it. Maybe next summer is like, okay, we'll bring in one midfielder. We'll bring in another center back if Konate goes. But overall, I think Liverpool, they got 2 unbelievable strikers right now. They got one of the best creative number 10s in Florian Wirtz. They got 2 new fullbacks for the next 5 to 10 years. They got a center back in Leone, 18 years old. I haven't seen enough of him at Bournemouth to say, okay, is he going to be really good? I think it's been an unbelievable window from Liverpool. Just the Gahey signing kind of is a little bit, stings a little bit. But if you're a rival fan, you're like, okay, 1, where's the oil rig that Liverpool drawn out from? And 2, there is no doubt about it. Liverpool have the most pressure now. I think of any team right now in Europe. You have to win if you're Liverpool. If you don't, boy, oh boy, the criticism. And it's going to be interesting to see how Slot deals with, 1, now added pressure, and 2, all of these new pieces. It has to work. It simply has to work. FSG, Michael Edwards didn't spend this money and thinking to themselves, oh, we're going to give you a season of just, let's see if it works out. No. Instant results. They want instant results. They're businessmen at the end of the day. They want to see their investment grow and give them back more money. So, yeah, I think Liverpool will bid 100%. I think they will go back and try and get Gahey in January, and they'll only be 15 million. With all that money, Arsenal and Liverpool got to win trophies. Yep, easily. Yep, it's just meant to be. So yeah, do you guys think Liverpool have had the best window of any team in Europe this summer? Let me know. Put a 1 if you agree. Put a 2 if you agree. Do you think they overpaid? I mean, they broke the British transfer record twice, people. Twice. And this is a fucking club that in 2022 on the final transfer day signed Arthur Melo. Arthur Melo. I remember 2010 seeing Jovanovic, free transfer Joe Cole, Paulson. I mean, it was like, okay, yeah, but oh my God, from going from that day to now, it's like, You're living the dream if you're a Liverpool fan. You're living the dream, but there's no excuse. You have to win. You have to win if you're on a solo. You have to win if you're the players, and hopefully they understand the assignment. All right, we got two more teams to go. Sporting. I haven't really been keeping up a lot with Sporting. Obviously, the huge drama with the Yerkeres, because, we don't want to sell them for this much. Okay, we're going to sell them now, this and that. So let me just look at their sales as of right now. So they sold Yerkeres. Conrad Harder went to RB Leipzig for 24 million. Marcus Edwards was the permanent to Burnley for 10. They sold Franco Israel for 4 million to Torino. Ezugo to Chelsea for 22 million. So did they make a profit this summer? Yep, they made a profit of 59 million. Then they signed Luis Suarez from Almeria. I think that's a really good signing. Ioannidis from Panathinaikos. Maginaidis from Panathinaikos as well. Koko Karasvili from Levante. Ruiz Silva. So maybe Sporting kind of needed a... Oh, yeah. I remember that too. My God, that was terrible. That was terrible. They were gassing it up. I would say Sporting still needed another forward. They're good in the midfield, but I think it's kind of been a meh compared to like Porto and Benfica. When you look at Sporting, maybe you could even put them at losers. Nah, I think they did well with the Luis Suarez transfer. I think it's kind of been meh from Sporting. Considering that they're now back-to-back champions, I was expecting a little bit more to kind of bolster the team in the forward department. I think they were linked to that one player from Deportivo La Coruña. Oh, the Spanish forward. Is it Yeremai? I think it's something like that. That's the player they really needed on the left wing if you're Sporting. If you got like a player like that, I think you're then in a perfect position if you're Sporting. But you got a right back. You got two new strikers. Let's see how it goes for Sporting. But maybe just a little bit more signings they need, a bit more quality for Sporting. If they really, because you look at Benfica and your Porto and you're like, if you're a Sporting fan, you're like, oh man, we might be in trouble. Just sold one of their greatest strikers ever. How are we going to do it? All right, then the last team is AS Roma. I think it's also been meh, to be honest, for AS Roma. When you look at the transfers overall. Let's see here. So they signed Wesley for 25 million, the right back from Flamengo. El Anui from Lens. I haven't seen enough of him to really judge him. Zavotsky, the center back, only 20 years old. Haven't seen enough of him. The loan deal of Leon Bailey, Evan Ferguson, Gilardi, who will also be a permanent transfer. Then they sold Enzo Lafitte for 23 million, Samuel Dov for 9 million, Zalvetsky 8, Paredes to Boca for 3 million. I think Smordov and Tammy Solbakken, those are all loans. And there was somebody else. I think it's kind of been like meh for AS Roma, considering it is Gasperini. I think they could have done a little bit better to back him. And I think they needed maybe they needed another center back or another midfielder. But I think the best thing was, because there was links that maybe Manu Kone was going to leave. If they sold Manu Kone, I think that would have been a disaster for AS Roma, because he was, for me, one of their better players last summer. So, or could have AS Roma strengthened more? Maybe another forward, because Dovbyk wasn't that good. Maybe they needed someone on the left wing. Maybe that's the areas of the field where I look at AS Roma and say, maybe a left wing back, kind of. So somewhere in those positions, that's where AS Roma could have really strengthened more. But overall, with this window, I think AS Roma are meh. Maybe I'm kind of hesitant to say losers. I think Evan Ferguson is a good deal, but in the long run, we'll have to see how it goes down. So I think everybody agrees Liverpool the biggest winners of this transfer window. I think Benfica, Arsenal, Porto right up there as well. The good transfers, good teams, Man City, Real Madrid, Napoli, Manchester United, Juventus, Barcelona, Spurs, all on the good side. Oh yeah, Tsimikas as well. Yeah, Tsimikas, decent loan signing. I think it's a decent loan signing. Meh, Inter, Atleti, AC Milan, Bayern Munich, PSG, Dortmund, Sporting, Chelsea, and AS Roma. Losers, and then nobody actually in the losers section. I'm kind of crazy in thinking putting them here. Should I be harsh? Should I just for not picking up a win in your first 3 games? You should just be in the losers section. I'm not gonna do that. I'll let you guys debate that in the chat and in the comments down below. But yeah, that's good enough. That's good enough. All right, people. Just give me an answer in the comments down below or an answer in the chat. Best transfer. You don't have to even see them play. Just when the initial reaction, when you saw, here we go, if you saw an Ornstein saying it, I would say the best signing is... I really think Johan Garcia to Barcelona is the best signing. I think people don't really understand how good he is because maybe the general public in Europe doesn't realize because he was at Espanyol, and Espanyol are never on TV with the obviously European football or basically on La Liga because La Liga do a terrible job of promoting the league. I would probably say Johan Garcia is the best transfer this summer. Otherwise, you can kind of look at... I'm just trying to think of other ones. I think Ritsu Doyan to like Eintracht Frankfurt, that's gonna be a sick deal. Well, actually, you know what? Boniface going to Werder Bremen is pretty low key good. It's pretty because you have to think when you're thinking of like the best transfer is money wise. Barca paid only 25 million for Johan Garcia. I look like player wise, you would say like Alexander Isak to Liverpool is unbelievable, but it's a record transfer fee for a player in England. So that's why I'm like, okay, yeah, he's a very good player. I love Alexander Isak. He can become world class. It's just so much money. So it's just so much money. Oh, hey, right there. This sick. El Hanous to Stuttgart. Dreams are made of, bro. Dreams are made of. Oh, yeah. Also Shirky. What else are you guys saying? Anthony to Betis. Hey, you know what, man? For 22 million, I think Anthony to Betis is actually low key cooking with that transfer. Yeah. Actually, you know what? Is Isak world class right now? Yeah, probably. Because he's not been doing it consistently, I think, for the Premier League and really terrorizing the top teams around the league. Yeah, okay. I rebuke my statement. Isak is world class. Worst transfer. What do you think is the worst transfer this summer, people? What is the worst transfer? Honestly, I think Rabiot to Milan is just so... Oh, it's so bad. Rabiot to Milan is so effing bad. What else? I'm just trying to think of other ones. What could also really be a flop signing? I'm just trying to think of what you guys would say in the chat as well. Or in the comments down below. What would you say is the worst signing? I haven't really prepared this. Raspadori to Atleti. That could be one of the worst signings. I'm just trying to think of like a big money signings. Nothing really from Inter. Maybe... What else? Is there anybody else? Yeah, I mean, could be. Worst transfer should make you be like, why did they even sign him? If I'm thinking like that, then it's Rabiot with AC Milan. I don't understand why they signed him. Obviously, they did because of Allegri, but still, it's like, why? Why did you sign him? Did you talk about Tottenham strikers? Who in the world is going to start? Voltemat, Visa, Colomani, Richarlison, Dom Solanke. Who is starting? Two of those guys play for Newcastle, and the other three for Spurs. So, and if you would say who would start between Colomani, Richarlison, Dom Solanke, I'd probably go with Colomani. I think he's the best of those three. Worst is Hermosen. Oh, from what I've seen so far, yeah, that's pretty bad. That's pretty bad to go. That goalkeeper looks trash, bro. That guy looks like he just came straight from the pub and was like, wow, what on earth is going on with him? Nico, oh God, I forgot about that. To be fair, though, I think Nico Gonzalez is like a Diego Simeone player. A perfect Diego Simeone player. So maybe it could work out. By the way, Michael, what's your opinion? I think it's going to unbelievable transfer for Aston Villa. I love Harvey. I think Harvey Elliott is an absolute baller. I think he's going to really cook with Unai Emery as the manager. Big Up James says, Michael, why did Barcelona not try to sign Hincapié for an extra CB? Because they can't. They can't sign him. Like, they just don't have the money. It sucks. I know if you're a Barcelona fan, it sucks that you can't sign these players, but wow. I think he would have been amazing. Like if you told me before this like summer, if Barcelona signed Johan Garcia, Hincapié, Marcus Rashford, I'm like, you know what, Barca, that's a 10 out of 10 window. Maybe you just need like a striker to replace Lewandowski, but maybe that's the next summer. I think Hincapié would have been unbelievable in that system. Unbelievable. They don't have the funds. They just don't have the funds right now. He plays like... Oh, man, he's playing like he's got handcuffs on or something. Man, oh, that is wild. That is actually wild. I think he's going to cook, too. Jadon Sancho, not so much. I don't think he's going to be. Who's going to be the worst signing? Yeah, who's going to be the worst signing? I really think Rabiot. Actually, I think Barry to Everton, not a good signing. I think in the long run, it could work out. Maybe give him like 2 or 3 seasons. But just specifically for this season, I don't think Barry is going to be a good signing. I don't. He needs a lot of chances. That's why he was quite good at Villarreal, but that's because Villarreal generates so many good chances. Actually, another really good signing is Mika Dalsi to Villarreal. I totally forgot about that. That is a great signing. Any CAF watch-alongs? People, just a quick announcement. We're doing a watch-along on Thursday for Turkey, Georgia, cooking there. Monday, we are doing, I think it was Greece, Denmark. And Tuesday, we're doing the big one. South Africa against Nigeria. What dreams are made of, people. What dreams are made of. So, yeah, those are some of the watch-alongs coming up here on the channel. Grealish might be signing of the season. Hey, maybe. Does Deschamps? Oh, he does, bro. Because Rabiot has, I don't know, he's got the tapes. He's got the tapes, bro. He's got the tapes on Deschamps. I don't know what it is. I think Egypt, Burkina Faso, Senegal, DR Congo, South Africa, Nigeria, and Cape Verde, Cameroon are all on the same time. It sucks, bro. It sucks. What do you think of Telford's United transfer window? Well, to be fair, I don't even know Telford, to be honest. I don't know Telford. I don't Central. All right, people. So, yeah. Best signing for me is Johan Garcia. I think the worst signing is Rabiot to AC Milan, just because of the connection and the marriage still going on between him and Allegri. But that is then the transfer window recap for the 2025 summer. I mean, thank God I don't do a lot of transfer window like rumor videos because to me it's just boring. Just repetitive nonsense over and over again. And honestly, for the next transfer window, I'm going to unfollow Fabrizio. I'm just going to follow David Ornstein because it's just getting so ludicrous with the consistent updates. It's just so boring. So I'm just going to follow Ornstein, and then hopefully I can just see some new signings from the clubs itself. And that would be awesome, like we saw with Luke de Jong. So let me know your thoughts in the comments down below, people. Which clubs were the biggest winners? Which clubs were the biggest losers from this transfer window? And who was the best signing and the worst signing? And of course, if you haven't checked out already, all the international football content is out now on the channel. We got the UEFA preview. We got the CONCACAF preview. We got the CONMEBOL preview. We got the CAF preview. We got all the previews for those games. And then obviously next week, we're going to have the recaps. We're going to have a couple watch-alongs. And then, of course, the Champions League content is going to start kicking up here on the channel, people. We're going to have the league phase predictions. I'm going to have my match day 1 predictions. So if you love Champions League content, remember to subscribe because we're going to have so much Champions League content, people. So much. I cannot wait for it. You guys know I love the UCL. That's like the competition I will fully cover here on the channel. But have a beautiful day. Stay safe in this crazy world. And until next time, adios. Adios, people.